Last night's game left a strange tension hanging in the air. And it wasn't just a loss. It was the way everything unfolded, play after play, almost like the team was being warned that something bigger is going on behind the scenes. When a game leaves that many questions unanswered, you can't just pretend everything's fine. Because some of the things we saw out there weren't small, random, or temporary. These are the kind of moments that shift the direction of a season, plays that expose issues the team has been trying to hide, and decisions that can cost way more than people realize. And if you think you've already figured out everything that went wrong, just wait. What this game revealed goes way beyond the scoreboard. The Ravens-Bengals matchup started with that lingering feeling that something had been off for weeks. Even after the win over the Jets, everyone could tell the offense wasn't comfortable, almost like it was trying to move with the brakes on. Walking into a primetime game in that state put pressure on the team from the very first snap, and you could feel it in every attempt to move the ball. And because the game mattered so much, that pressure only grew heavier. The Ravens needed this win to keep the Steelers from pulling ahead in the AFC North race. So every play felt loaded with urgency. But instead of rising to the moment, the offense started slipping. Nothing flowed. That usual burst of energy that helps them take over games? Nowhere to be found. Everything felt a step slow, out of rhythm, and disconnected. As the rhythm faded, the mistakes started piling up. 5 turnovers in a single game will take any team out of contention, and that's exactly what happened. Every lost ball felt like a bucket of cold water thrown on any hope of a comeback. Without the ability to sustain drives, the game slowly slipped away until it became a 32-14 loss that hurt not just because of the score, but because of how everything unraveled. By the end, the feeling was clear. The offense didn't recognize itself out there, even though the stakes couldn't have been higher. And when an offense loses its identity, the impact lands right on the shoulders of the player who drives everything every week. That's exactly where the next point begins. The delicate moment Lamar Jackson is living through, and how that's shaping everything happening on the field. Lamar Jackson's play in this stretch of the season brings an uncomfortable feeling that's hard to ignore. He came back from his injury, trying to regain his rhythm, but things haven't clicked back into place. His reads look a bit slower, his throws aren't hitting their usual spots, and his confidence in the pocket feels shaken. That combination has made each game feel harder than it should be. And when the numbers start telling a tough story, that weight gets even heavier. 3 straight games without throwing a touchdown, something that had never happened in his career, says everything about this unstable moment. Even with 246 passing yards and some key runs against the Bengals, the spark that usually ignites this offense just wasn't there. And when that spark is missing, the entire identity of the offense fades with it. The night in Cincinnati reinforced that picture through mistakes that proved costly. 2 fumbles and an interception put the team in tough spots, killing any rhythm the offense tried to build. With every lost play, the pressure on Jackson grew, creating a cycle that became nearly impossible to break mid-game. It's the kind of stretch that shakes confidence not only in the quarterback, but in everyone around him. And when a quarterback goes through something like this, the ripple effect hits the rest of the offense too. That's exactly what happened with the rest of the unit, which ended up stacking critical mistakes. That leads directly into the next point, how turnovers and penalties pulled the team apart at the very moment they needed stability the most. The Ravens walked into this game knowing any mistake could be costly, but the errors showed up early and kept building. Every turnover felt like another door slamming shut on their chances of keeping things competitive. And when your offense is already struggling to find rhythm, giving the ball away only makes the chaos grow. Isaiah Likely's play became the perfect symbol of that frustration. He made the catch, accelerated, looked headed straight for the end zone, and suddenly the ball slipped free. That fumble inside the 5-yard line turned into a touchback and handed the ball right back to Bengals. A moment that could have flipped the game's momentum ended up draining it completely. In big games, moments like that hit twice as hard. Penalties also showed up at the worst possible times. 7 flags for 53 yards is already rough, but the false start in the fourth quarter on a 3rd and 3 was the one that hurt the most. The play had everything lined up to keep the drive alive, but instead it stopped the offense in its tracks. Those small breakdowns kept stacking up until Baltimore couldn't respond anymore. And while the offense was trying to straighten itself out, the other side of the ball began dealing with its own storm. The defense, which needed to hold things together while the offense searched for answers, got hit by Joe Burrow's return and an injury to one of its most important secondary pieces.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
With Joe Burrow back, Cincinnati's offense looked alive again, even if his completion percentage wasn't great. He found important windows, created explosive plays, and kept Baltimore's defense on high alert all night. When a quarterback of his level gets rhythm and time, the pressure on the secondary instantly doubles. Things got even tougher when Nate Wiggins left the game with a foot injury. The defense lost one of its most agile and reliable coverage players, and everything changed against the Bengals' receiver group. Without him, nearly all the responsibility fell onto Marlon Humphrey, who had to deal with Ja'Marr Chase essentially on his own. Chase took over the matchup. With 7 catches for 110 yards, he constantly found separation and pulled the defense out of its comfort zone. The secondary was already under pressure, but without Wiggins' physicality and technique, qualities he consistently showed in recent weeks, it became exposed. Every slight mistake turned into a long gain or a crucial first down. And the bigger issue is that Wiggins' injury doesn't impact just this game. If he's out for a longer stretch, the team loses more than a player. It loses stability heading into the most important stretch of the division race, which was already tight before the setback. Wiggins' absence brings a serious concern for the rest of the campaign, especially because he'd been one of the most consistent pieces on the entire defense. When someone with that level of impact leaves the field, the whole structure of the secondary shifts. And in a division as physical and balanced as the AFC North, losing a player like that makes a difference quickly. Without Wiggins, other players are forced to handle bigger roles, sometimes outside what they do best. That opens gaps, shifts coverages, and makes life easier for opposing offenses. With a decisive schedule ahead, those cracks can turn into bigger problems. The loss to the Bengals made that painfully clear with every long play the defense gave up. Situations like this also shake the confidence of the entire unit. A defense needs trust in every piece on the field, especially in games that can decide the direction of a season. If Wiggins is out for a while, the Ravens will have another challenge on their hands, keeping the defense at a level that can survive games where mistakes aren't an option. The pressure rises, and the team needs answers quickly. Now the question becomes whether this defense can reorganize itself while the offense tries to rediscover its identity. How both sides respond from here will determine if Baltimore still has enough in the tank to stay alive in the AFC North race. Last night's game made one thing clear. The team needs urgent adjustments on both sides of the ball. The mistakes, communication issues, offensive instability, and injuries in the secondary created a sequence of warning signs that can't be ignored. This wasn't just another bad game. It was a wake-up call about what needs to change before the season slips out of their hands. Now I want to hear from you. After everything we saw out there, do you believe this team can bounce back quickly and get back on track? Because the answer to that might define everything we're about to experience in the coming weeks. One thing's for sure, if this group turns all of this into fuel, there's still time to flip the story. And from here on out, every little detail is going to matter more than ever.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.